Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Doing fantastic.
Yes, I'm so happy you're doing fantastic. I love when you're fabulous tastical. Hey, everybody out there in the world. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. And we have a special guest on the Weedman 420 Chronicles. Grandma Weed is in the house. Grandma Weed, say hi.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Weedman.
How you doing, Grandma Weed?
Hello.
So good to have you on the show.
Thank you. I love being here in Chicago.
The weather's great for you this time of year.
It is. Compared to where I came from, it is.
Florida's pretty fucking hot.
Oh, that shit, man. It's brutal.
What was it, like 110 with the heat index when you left?
Yes.
For a month straight.
For a month straight.
For a month straight, it was awful.
Oh, Grandma Weed, I feel so bad. Well, at least you're in 80-degree weather, nice and
It's been
cool.
beautiful.
No humidity.
Nope.
Feels like winter.
Yes, I'm walking around with a sweater on. I haven't done that, and I don't know how long.
Oh, shit. Grandma Weed, before we talk about you, Mrs. Weedman and I are going to smoke. I know you don't smoke anymore. Grandma Weed just smoked cigarettes for a long time, so she doesn't smoke anything anymore. But she does partake in edibles, and she has been eating a good high dose of CBD with a low dose of THC. We'll get into that in a minute, but Mrs. Weedman and I are going to smoke yeet, yeet, yeet. Let's go. Smoke that yeet. I don't have much information, like I said, about this, and we talked about it in the last episode, but we're going to smoke a little yeet. It's developing nicely. It's 2 weeks in the jars. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a little stony baloney stupidity that Mr. Weedman did the other day. I mentioned it on the Grow Hour. We got a new gizmo, and we really like it. And it's a dab rig, and we were dabbing all weekend long. It was
amazing.
It was a dab kind of weekend for us. And Sunday night, I was dabbing since like noon till we were about to go to bed. And this new gadget we got is pretty simple to use. It's a one-click button, we ready to go. So Mr. Weedman got too dabbed out and forgot to open up his jars to let it burp the jars. And it was like 10:30, and I opened them up. I did another dab with Mrs. Weedman, and we went upstairs. And of course, I took the new toy upstairs to do another dab before we went to bed, because this is so easy. You don't need a torch. It's just a button. And so I totally forgot to close the jars of the yeet.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I woke up Monday morning, and I went downstairs, and I'm like, why does it smell like really like smells like weed? Like, I mean, it smells great, but it doesn't smell like normal. I mean, our studio always smells like weed, but this was like pungently smelling. And I'm like, what is going on? And I looked over where I normally put the jars at to open, to burp them. And I'm like, you fucking idiot. And I was talking to Big Earl about this on the show yesterday. He's like, oh, you got nothing to worry about. He goes, just close them for a full day, let the humidity back in there, and you'll be just fine. So I opened them up today, and they smell great again. But I was like, you dumbass. I was so dabbed out. So I'm smoking some yeet. Mrs. Weedman's smoking some yeet. What do you think?
Yeah, yeet's great. And our new contraption is absolutely amazing. As you know, my favorite way to smoke and consume, or my favorite way to consume, is to smoke, whether it's flower in a bowl, a joint, a vaporizer, whatever. But I see so many people and so many different, I would say, influencers that are always hitting their rigs. And we just haven't dialed in our game on concentrates and wax and dabs and all of that. You know, we're lighting it with the torch, and then we burn it, or we don't. I inhale it at the wrong time and burn my lungs. So we just didn't master it. And it was like, you know what? It's time for us to explore devices that are kind of brain free, like click a button and go, and get this dialed in, because I want to consume the most efficient and beneficial way possible. I want all those terps. I want all the flavor. I want all the benefits of the full cannabinoid profile. And so we got ourselves this gadget, and it was a lot. It was great. I mean, a lot like we smoked it a lot.
Oh yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so nice.
Yeah, Grandma
and-
was watching.
Yeah, Grandma Weed was watching us the whole
I
time. Just
was.
dab and dab and dab. So we got a new toy. I love it. I still will always smoke flower and adore flower for the rest of my life, but this dab, and I'm a hash man. I love hash. Give me all the hash you can. And this was so nice and easy.
I like
to
the
use.
idea that you're not dealing with the carcinogens of smoking. I hands down, my favorite thing to do is have a joint. But it's nice to have another option.
Yeah.
Clean, do hash, rosin, clean, no chemicals involved, straight cannabis, and the right tool to smoke
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, we got a bunch of toys now. We got a nice Zenko to smoke our carts out of. We got a new dab rig to smoke our dab rig out of. And, of course, we have all of our fun stuff to smoke flower out of course. But, yeah, this is a nice new toy, and the yeet is tasting very good still.
It's good.
It's phenomenal.
I feel like the gassiness has mellowed a little
which
bit.
is nice because it was
Yeah.
super gassy.
Yeah.
This is like I still taste the pinene on it and the limonene in it, but it has lowered down the diesel taste and the gassy taste.
I'll tell you, it's super sticky because I was measuring the weight of how many buds I could get into an 8 decades storage jar.
Little plug there.
Yeah, little plug. And so I had everything on the scale and was putting buds one at a time into the jars to see what I could get in there, and my fingers were sticky. And
Yeah.
even the paper plate that I used to transfer everything was sticky.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should try to
It's
make
good
some. We should try to take one and make a little hash rosin out of it with your straightening iron.
Oh, yeah,
we
we
could
could
still
press it.
do that.
Yeah.
It's probably not the It's probably not the. You want to pick right when you pick it, or pick it a little earlier to get the most. But we still get some out of it. I think
We could do it with my little plants
Oh,
when they're
that's
ready.
true too. Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
that's
those
good.
buds are so juicy. They're fat. They're fat.
Yeah,
Little
you might be able to
gremlins out
get
there.
some nice rosin out of that.
I think so.
That would be great for a press. I think one of those big monsters of a
Do you
bud
still
would be great.
cure the bud if you're making a rosin, or do you take
You
it straight
could take
from
it.
field
You could take it straight
into the
from the
press?
field and press it if you want. From what I've read
But I
and
feel like you'd
learned.
get more.
Yeah, you'll get juicy going on there. Yeah.
My wheels are spinning.
All right. You ready to start the show?
Yeah.
Well, before we
Yeah,
get going on our articles, we have a guest, Grandma Weed. How you doing?
I'm wonderful.
I talk about you a lot on the show, and
It's a shame I don't hear that all the time.
Are you high?
Actually, I listened to it today walking with my new ear thing, and I had it on my phone, and I was listening to the
Yeah.
podcast where he happened to mention that I was coming to town.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
So I
Yay.
heard it.
I mention Grandma Weed quite often
Quite a
when it
bit,
comes
yeah.
to talking about 420. And Grandma Weed is special. She has the greatest birthday in the world, and her birthday's on
420, and I'll even tell you the year, 1950.
Look at that.
That is a good birthday.
That is a really good
It
fucking
is.
birthday.
Like
And
1950.
my brother
Yeah.
and myself are so proud of our mom, so fucking proud of our mom. And we call my brother Bigfoot, and or Blunt Master, and he's my sidekick. And we talk about how our Grandma Weed, Mama Weed, we're birthed from 420. And on top of that, our father was a big stoner burner pothead, sold weed, bought a lot of weed, sold some weed, sold some weed, sold some weed,
Smoked a little too.
and smoked a lot. So between what went through his system to birth us with Grandma Weed over there,
God.
we are 100% weed in our blood from day one we were born. So, and just
No,
think,
day one you were conceived.
oh,
you
conceived,
should
there
say you
go.
bleed green.
I do.
I bleed green and purple.
So, Grandma Weed, we love that you're born on 420.
Thank you.
Special day.
Thank
Special
A
day.
lot of people tell me that.
Yeah, it is. And I'm so
Told you
proud.
about the guy I met in the parking lot to sign the election thing for Florida for weed down there to become,
Yeah, recreational.
yeah. And when he saw my date of birth, he goes, "No." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Really?" I said, "Do I need to call my sons?"
That's
So he
cute.
couldn't believe it. He said, "Wow, I never met anybody that was born on that actual day."
It's great. And he did, and you signed your name for
And I
recreational.
signed my name.
Which we're going to talk about that in an article in a little bit. But what's cool is I want to go back in time. That's me going back in time to Grandma Weed when she was 16 years old. Here we are, 16 years old in the Bronx, New York. Your cousin Linda's gonna listen to this episode and be like, "What? You're on the show, Grandma Weed?" She has a cousin Linda. They're best buds, and I can't wait for cousin Linda to hear about this. But so 1967, right? 66. 66. 16 years old, hanging out in the Bronx, New York, at what park?
By German Stadium.
Okay, where was that at?
That was down by Buttrick Avenue.
Okay, where I
and
grew
Harding,
up
where we all grew up.
at. Yep, and there was a big tree.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
the tennis courts were behind the tree.
Yes.
Because actually that tree was like halfway into the tennis courts.
Yes, it was so
Because I
big.
hung out there too. So I kind of know. It was like I'm a second generation street kid. So corner kid. And we all hung out in that corner too. You played handball. You played stickball.
Got chased by the cops.
Yeah, you got chased by or the old man
Or
next
the old
door.
man next door that
Yes.
thought he ran the whole block.
Right. So we've talked about your experiences with pot. You called it pot back then, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, or marijuana.
This cannabis thing, I can't get used to saying
Cannabis is the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, marijuana is what you smoke, or
Right,
pot is what you smoke. So you smoked either pot or marijuana. What did you buy it back then? Like, what did you buy?
You
Or-
bought little 5-cent bags and 10-cent bags because back then that's all you could afford.
Or a dime bag.
The
I mean,
little
that's what
dime
everybody
bag,
starts
yeah,
it,
the
right?
little
Yeah.
dime bag, or
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was the little Ziploc bag
Yep,
at the top.
100%.
And like one bud if you were lucky.
Yeah,
in
if
there.
Yeah.
you were lucky.
Like Or it
was
Everybody
ground
had
up.
one.
It was shake.
Everybody had a bag, so
Yeah.
everybody was,
Yeah.
rolling their little joints. And me, I couldn't roll a joint to save my life.
Yeah, because you got
but-
fucking 10-foot nails. Your nails are beautiful.
Grandma
but
is famous for her fingernails.
yes, she has beautiful nails. What do you say? So you couldn't roll, but Grandpa Weed, my dad, Pop, we called him Poppy, so Poppy Weed we'll call him, and he was a big smoker,
Yes.
right? So he introduced you to
Till
cannabis.
the day he passed away.
He introduced you to pot.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So do you
Bad
remember?
influence.
Yeah. Do you remember because my Poppy Weed and Grandma Weed been together since they were 16 years old. They started dating, and my Poppy Weed passed away at 52 in 2002. Right. Yeah. And so
We were married 31 years.
31 years. So and I was born the day after they got married, a year later. Let's just say. So
A year and a day.
a year and a day.
That'd be the
there we
simple
go.
way to say it.
Yep. Simple way. So Poppy Weed introduced you to cannabis. What was your first? Do you remember your first experience with cannabis?
Sort of. This was a long time ago. We're talking over 50-something years
I get
ago.
it. What do you remember about it? Do you remember a smell? Do you remember what the joints
The
looked
smell
like?
was always like, and I didn't like passing joints around. That was the big thing. If I was going to smoke pot, it was going to be with Daddy. It
Right.
was just going to be him and I. I just didn't like, and that was me. That was my whole thing. You're going to be passing it around to all these people smoking this joint.
That's the
and
social
whatnot.
setting.
I know
But
it's
it's
the
gross if
social
you think
setting,
about
but
it,
it's
like- Right.
but you don't know what's
You wouldn't be
somebody
like,
had
"Here,
in
have
their
a
mouth
sip of my-"
before they started smoking that joint with you.
You're such a ski vots. If you're from the Bronx, New York, and you don't know what ski vots is, you'll learn. But you used to skeeve.
Yeah.
Yeah. In New York, it was a thing. You'd skeeve people. I
Yep.
get it.
Yep.
Especially if you didn't know them. I get it. I
Exactly
understand.
right. I mean, and I knew them all. We hung out for for decades.
Right.
But it was like you just get to that thing. It's like, oh, there's slime in it. Even like
When it's all soggy at the end.
and even like when you smoked a cigarette too, and everybody would say, "Oh, give me a drag," and it's like they wet oil the tip up. That's
They
the same
drool
thing
on
they
it. The
do.
worst.
Yeah.
Don't ever drool on a cigarette. Don't ever fucking drool on a joint.
Well, that's what they used to do back
Right.
then.
Yeah. 'cause-
That's
Oh, I get it. I
You
mean,
get
I still.
it back, and it was like, oh shit.
So then you wouldn't even puff pass. You just pass.
Or she just puff, 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 puff,
Yeah.
puff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then here you
Not
go.
passing,
Yeah,
do
you're
whatever
on
the
your
fuck
own
you want.
after that. I'm not touching it. I take a couple of hits, and that would be the end of me because I'm not touching it after that next person got it. Unless it was Daddy. If it was Daddy, it's a different story.
Got
But
it.
if it was somebody else,
Forget about it.
yeah.
Oh, so what was the feeling you got? Like the
I
first.
wanted to sleep all the time.
Well, that's
That
good.
was, and
That's-
then I wanted to get up and have munchies.
That's good. So you take a
And
nap
eat.
and get up and you got hungry.
Yeah.
A little nappy nap and then a little
Yeah.
snacky snack.
That's it, exactly what. Even
Love.
as I got older and I still smoked, I hate to say this, we all smoked when we were pregnant.
That's okay. Well, you smoked
But
6
you're-
too while you were pregnant too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and drank wine or
Yeah.
drank liquor.
Your doctor would tell you to. My mom's doctor would say, go home and have a glass of wine or go home and
Yeah.
smoke a cigarette and
Yeah.
relax.
We're talking about the 70s now.
Yeah.
So different time.
60s, 70s.
Yeah, this is a different time.
Yeah.
Different time, and smoked a joint. I took a couple of hits on joints.
See
That's
everybody
Yeah,
out
look, you're
there.
fine. You're
See everybody
fine.
out there in the world. Why weed is so a part of me. My pops fucking was a dealer, smoked tons of weed. Grandma Weed was born on 420, smoked weed, and smoked weed while she was pregnant.
So you consumed before you were even born.
Dude,
You're like the OG.
It's the best.
It was bad.
Truly.
We should have never done that back then.
Yeah, but we did we've done some articles on
just
smoking
did
weed and pregnancy
something, yeah.
and stuff like that, and there's still a lot of research that needs to be done. They say you shouldn't, but I turned out okay.
Well,
It all depends on who you ask.
Right, Mrs.
Yeah.
Weedman, we got a lot to think about
it
that.
depends.
I love you, but
I almost spit my drink all against the wall, just so you know when you said that.
and the other one, that's another story.
Blunt Master, yeah. Blunt Master is a little cuckoo. He's a little loose, 2-3 screws. But he smokes more weed than I do. We smoke a lot of weed. I smoke a lot of weed, but he smokes more than me. I'll be the first to admit that any day. He
uses it therapeutically.
yes,
a lot of the time.
yeah, he needs it. So, so
I need it when I'm around him. Never mind.
So here's another thing about Grandma Weed that you all may or may not know. Grandma Weed is famous in Florida. She runs with a group called the Snack Pack. And the Snack Pack is a band, a group of just, they dress up in crazy costumes. And Bigfoot, my brother's best friend, J-Ball, we call him, he has a radio show called the KVJ Show in West Palm Beach, right?
Yes.
And he's been doing that forever.
Yes.
So if you have heard of the KVJ Show, J-Ball, we love you. But he started a rap hip-hop group called
The Snack Pack.
the Snack Pack. And you play the what?
I'm the cougar.
So they're highly recognized in South
Yes.
Florida, and
Oh, yeah.
they have what's called the KVJ Nation. So this
Yeah,
is like
big
their
followers.
super fan club,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's big followers of the KVJ Nation
And they perform in some pretty big venues.
Yeah, we've performed in some Sunfests, which you're talking
big.
about hundreds of thousands of people, and it's been a ride. I've been doing it since 2009, I think.
Wow, the cougar.
2008. But wait a second.
Yeah.
I make out with my son's best friend.
So he calls you up on stage and he prances you
And we
around.
dance. And
Right,
he
he prances you
sings a
around.
cougar song.
He sings
It's a
the cougar song. And he prances Grandma Weed around the stage, right?
Yes.
And then what does he do? What do you do?
At the end of the song, I get, the nails go along the face, the nails go up and down his chest, the nails go up and down his back. And then at the end of the song, you see him start to get ready. He's licking his lips, and the first time we did it, it was just like a little peck on the lips.
Oh, now it goes full tongue?
Oh, hell fucking no tongue. I don't go that fucking far. Are you crazy? No, this is your brother's kidney brother.
But he gives you
Yeah,
a
right.
deep kiss.
Oh, we make out.
You make
without
out.
I
the
just
tongue.
said you
but
make
without
out.
the tongue.
Oh, just open
Yeah.
mouth.
Yes.
Oh, open mouth make out. So you
Yeah.
just breathe air in one of those mouths.
That's it.
It's like Darth Vader.
No, we actually really kiss.
Okay,
but we
good.
don't. There's no tongue
I
involved
understand.
because
I
I,
get it.
tell him all the time, "Do not stick your tongue in my mouth."
One day he will. It's gonna be kind of funny.
No,
That's
I don't
sweet.
think
That's
he
cute.
will.
He'll slip you the
no.
tongue there, Grandma Weed. Slip her the
He's too
tongue.
respectful.
And when we first did it back in the day, it was just a little peck on the lips, and then people started cheering and whatnot. And Jason goes, "I guess we better go in for it." And,
That was it.
And you
That
come
was
out
it.
in a cutesy, sparkly dress.
always
oh
Sparkly,
yeah, I'll
yeah.
try to dress nice even for my age.
Yeah, you dress nice. You look good. You're
Put
all
on some
dialed up. You're all dialed
heels and
up.
some cute leggings
Yeah,
and
I've
sparkly
seen some of the
palms.
videos.
The last show we just did back in April, I had on one of Bigfoot's sparkly jackets.
Yes, it was purple.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So she looks all hot. She gets
so,
The
kissed
cougar.
by a younger
the
man.
cougar. I love
and
it.
people recognize me as I walk through the crowd. They'll come up to me and
Yeah.
It's
You're
so
part of the
good.
crew.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good. Well, because J Ball and his two hip hop buddies, I don't know their names. What are their names?
is Klepto and oh gosh, I can't remember.
That's okay. So 2 artists, but then he has a group, an entourage of about 15 people, all dressed in different types of costumes, and it's crazy. And my brother, he's known for playing Bigfoot. He always wears, and I call him Blunt Master because he's my sidekick, and he dresses in a Bigfoot costume with a blunt wrap around him, and he carries a bunch of blunts with him. So he's been dressing as Bigfoot for many years. And you have an alien, you have a Yoda. I mean, it's just crazy. The stuff and the stunts that these guys did early years, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Some of the stuff they did was absolutely insane. They would show up to parties and they'd all be dressed up and just.
We throw snacks out to the crowd because one of their songs is the snack.
My favorite.
Song,
my favorite.
And they throw the snacks. Really, literally, they all wait for the snacks to be thrown out.
My favorite song is "Flat Top Cop."
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
That's
funny.
video on YouTube. If you haven't seen it by J Ball and the Snack Pack, "Flat Top Cop." Oh, because I grew up in Florida for 13 years of my life, and I when I saw that song, and I was like, "This is fucking spot on."
Everybody loves that one.
Flat top cop. Oh my god, it's so good. And so, what else do you enjoy about it? You've been doing it now, like you said, for a while.
Just being around the people get you going. You know, at first, the first couple of times I was like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? Back then it was how many years ago? I mean, now I'm like older, you know, and it's like, oh, gee. How long am I going to keep doing this? I said, the next go around, I'm going to have to wear a hairnet and a kimono and walk with a walker on the stage at this age.
Golden Girls.
Yeah, one of them Golden Girls looks, because this is like, I keep thinking to myself, how long is this going to go on? Am I going to be white haired?
Right.
You'll never. I don't think you'll ever go white on the hair.
No, I won't go white.
I don't think so.
I'll just cover up the grays. But I was thinking, you put the old-fashioned rollers in your hair.
Right.
And wear, the dusters that the moms used to wear
house
with the
jacket.
snaps on.
Yep.
Like Grandma used to wear Paul the Duster. She called him a duster. That's what everybody called him back then.
Or Mama Luke's.
Yeah, the Mama Luke's.
Yeah, the Mama Luke.
And put
gowns.
the rollers in my hair with a thing over the hairnet so the rollers don't fall out. And
What's
shit.
the next?
You know?
It's after you're called a cougar when you get like in the late 80s, 90s.
What the hell else are you going to call me after that? I
don't
have no
know.
friggin' clue. You better look it up in the dictionary on Google or some shit, because I don't know after cougar what it is.
Dead.
All right, so one more story, then we got to go to the next segment of the show. So the story I want you
do?
So the story I want you to tell everybody is the first time you got drunk, and what'd you see?
My titties in the sky?
So what did you get drunk
We
on?
were standing on the street corner just drinking rum and Coke all night long. We finished a whole bottle of rum and Coke, all of us, and I was so fucked up. And I kept saying, and God rest his soul, Lippy, he's up in the heavens somewhere, and he was trying to hold me up, and he goes, "What's going on with you?" I said, "What's going on? I see my titties in the sky." And that's all everybody always teased me about that, because I always said I saw my titties in the sky. That was the last time I ever drank rum and Coke.
Oh, yeah, because you're an amaretto sour woman after that.
For a long time.
Yeah.
I couldn't touch rum and Coke. Ugh. Just thought, I think back, oh my God. Had to get up the next day and go babysit for a cousin's little kids. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And my father kept telling me, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Thinking to myself, you should only know what's wrong with me right now. Had to go with Cousin Linda all the way up to...
Cousin Linda, we love her.
all the way upstate New York to watch her sister's
Oh my
kids.
gosh.
It was so bad.
So hungover.
Yeah, so hungover.
Oh, man. Grandma Wee, we love you.
I love you guys, too.
She can be sitting, probably chiming in throughout the show, but thanks for telling story time.
Yeah, that was great.
It was awesome.
You're welcome.
Titties in the sky.
Oh, thanks.
I have an idea for your next tattoo.
Oh, gosh.
Put a titty in the sky?
Yeah, like upside down. Instead of this way, this way.
Oh, jeez.
Like 2 mountains.
Oh, all right. Let's get the show started. The Thin Green Line. Who raised you fucking people? This is by High Times, and the writer is Patrick Marvellius. Legacy cannabis players and heady weed culture leaders who have been setting standards for the rest of the industry since time immemorial. I can't pronounce that word. Memorial find themselves on the losing end of the fight, with each other at a crucial moment in timeline of cannabis legalization, one which unequivocally cannot afford to screw up. Many years ago, I set out on a journey. This is the writer, not Mr. Weedman. Far from home, one which almost everybody I loved and respect begged me not to embark. Still, I hobbled west toward Humboldt County in my little red pickup truck in search of a mountain littered with cannabis fields and luscious emerald green forest, stretching all the way to the frigid, untouched ocean shorelines of the Pacific Northwest. So he went to the triangle, and he worked himself from the bottom up. And back then it was traditional market grows, and he learned how to do everything, this journalist. So he's very protective over his memories and sanctity of what they were all collectively trying to accomplish out there behind the redwood curtain. Everyone just wanted to get the world high with best medicine they could make. I only caught the tail end of the good old days. I know nothing of true freedom. The brave men and women who came before me laid down a legacy to pass down to their children and to their grandchildren, while simultaneously living under the constant threat of helicopters bearing down on their families' homes to usher them away to federal prison. They did their work silently, diligently, and most of them risked everything they had every single year just to keep breaking even and preserving their way of life. Today, the helicopters are still circling, and that way of life is under dire threat and extinction. If all that weren't bad enough, the community is being to turn on each other more than ever before. We sit and bicker online like old school children while Chad, Brad, Thad, and Karens, the merry band of corporate cannabis buzzards, steal everything we hold dear as a community. They're taking our land, our genetics, our SOPs, but I believe culture doesn't have an SOP, but their standard operating procedures, meaning like how they run their grow. Our hard work, our years of sacrifice, and our money, while the culture spend our time posting typo-laden paragraphs about how shitty lemon cherry gelato is to our Instagram story. The artist, formerly known as Runts, is on my absolute last nerve as a consumer. Sure, but the reality is LCG checks every single box for commercial growers today. Yield, color, vigor, taste, potency, all score high enough no matter who grows it. Diluting ourselves and others that businesses need to ignore market realities for the sake of some arbitrary definition of headiness that almost nobody has managed to create a viable long-term business model from is not only on the DSM-5 for diagnosing schizophrenia, but extremely detrimental to our collective image as an industry. That whole fucking paragraph was marvelous, I'm telling you, when I first read that. I'm bringing this up because it's an excellent segue into today's topic, evolution. Cannabis is no longer illegal in a growing majority of the country, and the market fluctuations we've been experiencing can more or less be considered growing pains as we make our way along our own special little arc of American consumerism. Despite the constant serves of flashy Mirons, Milers, and hentai-themed eights, which I've never understood, the endgame to all of this is mono or mixed strain Kirkland hash. Safeway brand distillate seltzers and cigarette-style packs of Marlboro Greens at every gas station across the country.
No.
Craft will always exist, especially in California, but a fraction of the availability we enjoy now. There are a couple of other ways it could go in the short term, but barring any super irresponsible acts of Congress, which I acknowledge is unrealistic expectation, cannabis will be another boring commodity inside 10 years. I can see that on the corporate kind of level, but you will always still have your underground. I truly believe that you're
going to have an ever expanding home grower crowd and craft crowd.
Right.
The craft crowd is going to be strong.
100%. By boring, the writer means it will be bought and paid for just like everything else. And if we don't start assimilating with the grown-ups a bit, we are a little more than a doe with a broken leg, enjoying its last few moments in the sun before we are ripped to pieces by the predators lurking just over the horizon. They are coming the moment it is convenient for them. And just think, it's not only cannabis they're going to be coming for. Psychedelics is the next big wave, everybody, and I've talked about it on the show before. LSD, mushrooms, ketamine, MDMA, DMT.
Mushrooms are huge right now. It's all,
No, it's not even huge. Not even
well,
close.
the non-psychotropic,
Right,
but leaning into the psychotropic.
It's going to happen.
It's
You see
getting there.
psychedelics already being legalized or being,
They're advertised all over the
right.
place.
But what's going to happen is it's still very highly illegal to do psychedelics. But once one state or two states fully goes all about medical, that's the start. And then everybody's jumping in that state and they're going to spend millions, just like they're doing with cannabis. Because it's the next medicine and they're going to fuck it up. So just like I just said about cannabis in 10 years, as long as we keep on doing what we're doing, the cannabis culture, the real cannabis culture, I don't see it ever going away for the diehards who love it. Same thing they said about craft beer. It's here to stay. Now, who owns
And the culture
those?
is going to continue to grow because there will be new generations entering it. Not everybody's going to want mass-produced cannabis.
No, fuck no. Never.
There's going to be an ongoing culture.
Right. They're coming the moment it is convenient for them. We can laugh and dance and sing, but the big bagged, filthy rich ice wolves are coming for every single cent. We need to step into the light a bit and occasionally start acting like literate business people rather than bloodthirsty tribe of hyena ferrets we've been resembling as of late. At least when it comes to our online activities, which brings me to the next question. He's shouting in the article. Everything is all capitalized. When, in the name of award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter Celine Dion, did we decide to start airing shit out on Instagram every time somebody stubs their damn toe? Sister Mary, Mother of God, we used to have rules about this shit. Who raised you fucking people? I applaud you. The writer's sorry for yelling. So, but what he's talking about here is people posting screenshots of your lawsuits, people posting screenshots of your big operational grows, people talking about just the flea market circus, very rich and litigious men, not to mention 535 members of Congress are watching us out of the corner of their eye. Trust me, they're watching to see if they want to make sure this goes the right way before they put their stamp of approval and make it federally legalized. Allegations of cheating at the Emerald Cup. After allegations surfaced, people that this writer respected and looked up to in the space said disgusting things that because of a woman happened to be among the accused of the allegations of the Emerald Cup cheating. The unpaid tabs. Instagram page is a nightmare, and I'm taking this opportunity to publicly ask the owner of the page to take it down before somebody inevitably gets hurt. Everyone owes everyone money in the cannabis because the game has been rigged against us from the get-go. And drawing attention to that for the sake of your own personal vendettas is an amateur hour play at best. I'm not making excuses for anybody. It's a serious problem, the one we need to address properly by passing legislation that allows us to open bank accounts and enjoy tax breaks by fielding anonymous reports of people claiming they're owed money by major companies in today's day and age is not helping anybody. It's 70% petty gossip, and it's the last thing we need right now. This is not the first time somebody has tried to do this, and it's so goddamn irresponsible. Quietly collect your debts in person or charge it to the game. But if you opt out of whining on whoever's ruining the unpaid tabs page, you probably don't belong there in the first place. Pretty good point. This is a really long article. We're going to post this. So I'm just going to read the final paragraph. The thin green line is weaker and more divided than ever before, but there is hope for us yet. This writer attended Jimmy Devine's Trans Bay qualifier in Sacramento a couple weeks ago and had the privilege of shaking hands and smoking cannons with some very special people who truly care about the plant and our collective future. For an industry of people who spend all day making memes about each other, we are sweethearts to each other in person. Most everyone I met was just stoked to show off what they've been working on and connect with all the other weed nerds. We need to bring the same enthusiasm to everything we do, online and in real life. We need to stop gatekeeping everything and spread love to everyone who wants to learn how to smoke. Bingo. We need to protect our legacy while preparing for the future, and we need to fortify our connections to one another while sharing information on how to combat the thieves, the snakes, and the con men, and the snake oil salesmen. Actively trying to steal from us. We just need to evolve and preserve our way of life. The writer believes there is a time we have not yet hit the iceberg. The wave has not yet broken. Hold fast to one another. The hurricane approaches once more. We'll post the rest. It was really long. So, but I mean, this writer, man, laid out his opinion, his truths, what he's seen, and I thought it was pretty deep, so I had to read it. Is cannabis marijuana a stimulant? And that answer, hard, simple, not simple? Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
It's just not a simple thing to answer. With more states legalizing cannabis, curiosity about the plant's effects is increasing. That may include how cannabis pairs with other things like caffeine and alcohol. And since some varieties of the plant feel uplifting and others are more heavy, many people wonder, is cannabis a stimulant or is it a depressant? The truth is that cannabis is an extremely dynamic plant. There are thousands of different varieties or strains, and each one affects every person in unique ways. Because of this, it can be difficult to make generalizations about what end of the spectrum the plant sits on. And it's not just anecdotal. A report published in the Journal of General Psychology says that marijuana acts as both a stimulant and a depressant. Dr. Lee Vincourt, a physician and cannabis expert, says it's impossible to say for certain if cannabis is a stimulant or depressant since the experience is so subjective. Everybody reacts differently, and you have to find your individual dose, she told Green State. Those who smoke cannabis often find themselves in trial and error situations when it comes to determining outcomes. However, there are a few anecdotal hints. Stimulants are chemical compounds that activate the nervous system. They typically boost energy, alertness, and focus. This classification includes prescription drugs used to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, such as Adderall and Ritalin, as well as illicit drugs like methamphetamine and cocaine. I was going to say coke, but it's
cocaine. I like me some of that cocaine.
Stimulants may increase your heart rate and blood pressure. Other effects can include elevated blood sugar and increased breathing. Long-term use may cause heart failure or skewed perception of reality. Since one of the side effects of cannabis, specifically THC, for certain people can include increased heart rate, it would make sense that some consider the plant to be a stimulant, not to mention that certain varieties can be more invigorating. On the other side of the spectrum are depressants. These compounds reduce activity in the nervous system and slow down brain function. Certain prescription painkillers, sleep aids, and drugs to treat mental health conditions like anxiety typically fall into the depressant category. They often make people feel drowsy and can lead to decreased blood pressure, distorted sensory perception, and dry mouth. The same can be said for cannabis, particularly the sedative effect. According to a recent survey by New Frontier Data, 61% of cannabis consumers use the plant to improve their sleep. Therefore, cannabis could be called a depressant as well. Another reason why cannabis is so subjective is the fact that concentrations of active ingredients range widely from plant to plant. A variety rich in CBD is likely going to produce different effects versus one higher in THC, but even that can vary. CBD can be stimulating at low doses and sedating at higher doses, Dr. Vincourt explained.
Yeah, just ask Grandma Weed.
THC is somewhat similar, but the chances for variability are even more extreme. As far as THC, there is some anecdotal evidence that very low doses may in fact allow people to be more alert and productive, as opposed to higher doses making them feel more sedated, Dr. Vincourt said. We also know that very high doses of THC can actually make some people feel anxious and sometimes even paranoid. Terpenes also play a big role in how cannabis affects you. Terpenes are the molecules responsible for the rich flavor and aromas of cannabis and also drive how it can make a person feel. There are dozens of unique terpenes in cannabis. Some, like citrusy limonene, are thought to elevate your mood. Others, like lavender-scented linalool, tend to be more relaxing. Once again, these effects are all anecdotal, making it even more challenging to settle the stimulant or depressant debate. For newcomers, determining which cannabis product is best based on how it will make them feel is easier said than done. Since the effects of cannabis can vary from person to person, it can be hard to know what a product will do to someone until they try it for themselves. Cannabis fits into both the stimulant and depressant categories, so it's up to the individual to decide its definition as it relates to their experience. While this may feel frustrating in the beginning, over time it will become more clear. Those who are beginning their cannabis journey may want to consider journaling, noting how particular products make them feel. By noting the cannabinoids and terpenes along with the effects, it may help remove the guesswork from future dispensary shopping trips. The brand Gold Leaf makes a line of science-forward journals specifically for this purpose. They have options for medical patients, connoisseurs, and even growers. The guided diaries even contain pertinent information to help users learn about the plant and themselves at the same time. As a new consumer, when it comes to flower or vapes, take a hit or two, then wait 15 minutes. With edibles, start around 2.5 milligrams, then wait at least 90 minutes before having another bite. By doing the required cannabis homework, you can conclude where stimulant versus depressant conversation lands for yourself. Good advice.
Yeah, really good advice.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next article, we're taking Grandma Weed this Sunday to where?
Brunch of stoners.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Grandma's first cannabis outing.
Oh my goodness.
Cannabis experience, brunch of stoners. And I am looking forward to the Pop-Tarts as always.
Yeah.
Yes, Felix, I'm coming for the Pop-Tarts. And actually, Mrs. Weedman and I are going to be doing what there?
We are going to have we're hosting a rolling station. So 8 Decades will be one of the sponsors for the event. And it is this coming Sunday, August 6th.
Yep.
So you can get tickets. You have to find them on social media and join their email list, and then you can get access to tickets. It's just, as we've said before, a fantastic time. Our rolling station is something completely new. We're going to have the 8 Decades rolling sets, smoke sets, and we'll have papers, and people who have brought their own cannabis can come over and work at our station and
Teach
fill up
Mr.
some
Weedman,
joints.
teach
Yeah.
Mr. Weedman
Yeah,
how
I
to
think
roll.
they're going to be teaching us how to roll more than we're going to be teaching them.
Yes.
You know, we've got
Mr.
some
Weedman
learning
can
curve
stuff
ahead
a
of
damn
us.
good joint, but can't roll. I
Yeah.
can't tie
We'll
a
probably
balloon.
have some cones at the table.
Oh, yeah,
too.
I'll bring some. I'll bring some cones and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll roll.
It's gonna be fun.
And plus, I'll probably bring some Mr. Weeman's home grow.
Yep.
So you can grow some Majin, roll some Majin Fajita if you'd like on Mr. and Mrs. Weeman and try
And
our grow.
It's an indoor-outdoor event.
Yeah.
So they said weather pending. If it's nice out, we will be outside. So it's going to be super cool.
Yeah,
It'll
and
be
it's
fun.
Grandma Weed's first cannabis experience
Should
event.
be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be fun. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you baked.
We'll just get you
I'm just
contact
kidding.
high.
I'm kidding.
You want me to take a nap?
It's relaxing outside if
We
it
just
is.
talked
like
about
last time.
stimulant versus depressant.
Yeah.
You got to learn, right?
No, exactly.
So we're looking forward to seeing you at Brunch of Stoners. Come check out, come hang out with us, come smoke some big fat doinks. So thinking about buying weed on your debit card, think again. MasterCard is cracking down on cannabis purchases. Oh gosh, we really need the banking right now. The company told payment processors, financial institutions that connect MasterCard to all sorts of vendors, including marijuana dispensaries, to stop allowing the transactions, according to the statement from MasterCard provided to the Messenger last Wednesday. In accordance with our policies, we instructed the financial institutions that offer payment services to cannabis merchants and connects them to MasterCard to terminate the activity, the company said. MasterCard sent cease and desist letters to the payment processors last week. According to Bloomberg, the company declined the Messenger's request to provide additional details. Their rules require a customer to conduct lawful activity where they are licensed to use our brands, said the MasterCard statement. The federal government considers cannabis sales illegal, so these purchases are not allowed on our systems. Further tightening could deal the financial blow to dispensaries by forcing their customers to use cash. Cash-only businesses can have a higher security risk, and customers don't carry nearly as much cash as they used to, according to American Express and the Federal Reserve. We need to fucking fix this shit. We need to fix it fast. So, I lost my hair probably somewhere in my 20s. I don't truly remember. Grandma Weed, did I used to have a nice head of hair or what?
Oh my goodness. You look like the little Oscar Mayer boy.
He did.
He did.
The pictures that I saw, yeah.
So in my 20s, I totally went bald, St. Giuseppe style, and then lost it all up top. Got a nice sideline going on, but nothing on top. And, Mrs. Weedman didn't fall in love with me because of my head of hair. That's, of course, I don't, so she liked the baldness. So, But there's a cure for baldness. There's a search for a
This
cure.
is really interesting.
Yeah, let's hear
Very
about it.
interesting. In search of a cure for baldness, a study reveals hemp oil high in CBD, THCV, and CBDV can foster hair growth. If your hair is thinning, you're not alone. Up to 50% of both men and women are affected by progressive loss of terminal hair on the scalp, or androgenetic alopecia, or AGA. Despite hair loss being common across the world, the cure has yet to be found. Researchers are not giving up, though. A new small sample study is showing promising results. The study published recently in the International Journal of Trichology revealed the potential of cannabinoids to foster hair regrowth. The goal of the study was to determine if daily topical application of the hemp oil high in CBD, THCV, and CBDV concentrations can promote hair growth. According to data from the National Library of Medicine, androgenetic alopecia is a genetically predetermined disorder due to an excessive response to androgens, which can develop any time after a person goes through puberty. It is interesting to note that even though baldness is common around the globe, there are some parts of the world that have higher rates of male pattern baldness. For example, the highest rates are found in Spain, the Czech Republic, France, and the United States. It is least common in New Zealand and Finland. One thing is certain, if a cure for hair loss is found, bald people from all corners of the earth will surely be ecstatic. Would you say, Mr. Weedman?
Hell yeah, man. I would like
It'd
to
be
grow a little
fun.
hair again just to see what I'm like. Maybe in my 60s, I get that nice Elvis Presley hair going
Oh
back.
my God, could you
It'd be
imagine
great,
just all
you
of a
know?
sudden he's got like a big
No,
spoof
that
on
would
to
be interesting. Between you and
Yeah.
the other child.
Yeah.
What it would be
big
like.
pork
Yeah.
chops.
All
big,
of a sudden they have hair
Yeah.
again.
big pork chops and
Oh my God.
flowing Elvis Presley
It
hair.
would probably be really extreme because you haven't had it for so long. You'd be like,
Since I was like
yeah,
23.
you'd have a flow. You'd have a
Yeah, I
flow.
lost most of my hair when I was 23. All of it by the time I was 26. You know, so,
Yep.
but that flow would be nice though.
That would be sweet. All right. So for this study, a total of 31 individuals, 15 men, 16 women with AGA took part in the study. Participants applied a topical hemp extract formulation once a day for 6 months. Before and after the treatment, researchers counted the hairs on the parts of the head most affected by alopecia and even applied a permanent tattoo as a mark to make sure the hair count analysis was consistent. Participants were also required to rate their psychosocial perception of scalp coverage improvement after the study was finalized. The qualitative scale included very, unhappy, unhappy, neutral, happy, and very happy. Researchers concluded that all subjects had some regrowth. This ranged from 31.25% to 2,000%, the authors wrote. The average increase was statistically significant at 246% of regrowth in men and 127 in women.
Damn.
That's pretty good.
That's impressive.
It is important to note that there were no adverse effects. That's even more impressive.
Yeah.
All participants rated their psychosocial perception of the treatment as happy or very happy, while an independent review of scalp photographs showed mild to extensive improvement. The authors noted that the topical hemp formulation was superior to oral finasteride. Finasteride is an anti-androgen commonly used to treat male pattern hair loss by blocking the body's production of a male hormone in the scalp that stops hair growth and is also used, as a preventative for prostate cancer. However, the trial results also raised the possibility that finasteride might increase the risk of high-grade prostate cancer. It is important to mention that the authors didn't detail how the topical hemp formulation was superior to other treatments. Was it the results of hair growth only, and how was it compared? Or was it superior because it fostered similar hair growth to, let's say, finasteride, but had no adverse effects and other high risks? Either way, the results seem promising. Researchers also highlighted that this hemp extract functions via novel mechanisms that are completely different from both finasteride and minoxidil. This means that when combined, they could potentially produce synergistic effects. though the safety and efficacy of this combination is yet to be examined. So that would be using the hemp plus using minoxidil, or,
Right.
double it up. I don't know if I'd go that route, but this sounds very promising.
It sounds great. Hopefully, like I said, if it's really fully effective by the time I'm in my 60s and it works and it grows back your hair, I'm gonna try it. Just
Why not?
Just for the
Oh my
fun
God,
of it.
could you just imagine though? Wouldn't that be funny if all of a sudden, like at Christmas, he shows up and he's got this like
Yo, what's up?
luscious, like full head of hair? Wow.
Cannabis regulations and some updates across the states. Secure and fair enforcement banking act is needed. The American Trade Association for Cannabis and Hemp and 16 state-level cannabis trade groups are urging Senate leaders to pass the Secure and Fair Enforcement Safe Banking Act. Yeah, we need it. Minnesota, in some areas, are banning indoor marijuana smoking. Employees' rights in Washington, cannabis dispensaries. A new law in Seattle enhances labor protections for cannabis dispensary employees, aiding in the city's effort towards a more equitable marijuana industry. Good for them. And Phoenix is pushing for a city free of cannabis odor. That's just like New York is trying to do the same thing. Come on now, Phoenix. Let's go. Odor. Get the hell out of here. It's wonderful. In Oklahoma, over 580 cases of overdoses were reported, primarily young children enticed by the attractive edible packaging. Well, you have edibles in that state that can go up to 10,000 milligrams. If parents out there are not locking their gummies up, especially those high doses that are, you sell up to 10,000 milligrams. That's dangerous. I mean, that's...
There's just no need for that much.
I don't care how medicated you need to be. If a kid gets 10,000 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams or 500 milligrams or 25 milligrams, 10 milligrams, you fucked up what this is all about. So fix your shit, Oklahoma, man. Lock your shit away. If you can't keep it away from your kids in a normal way, lock it up. Finding a path to end prohibition, 2024 presidential candidate perspective. There's a couple of presidents out there that said they're, candidates that said they're going to legalize it if this happens. So it's kind of cool. We'll see what happens. Legalization in Minnesota happened on August 1st. Today is August 1st. Congratulations, Minnesota.
They can home grow lots and have like 2 pounds on them.
Yeah, crazy. It's amazing. So cannabis drug testing and psychedelics research are more supported by the American Medical Association. And Alabama, Roll Tide, establishes Cannabis Advisory Board. What?
Alabama did?
Well, they legalized it for medical, for just suppositories and topicals and tinctures and shit. But they're still just getting, the Cannabis Advisory Board put together. Wouldn't you think you would have done this a while ago?
You'd think.
Yeah. In the great state of Florida, where Grandma Weed is from, Florida correction officers taking medical marijuana firing to the state Supreme Court. And I read a little bit on another article a while back ago, but this is big. So hopefully he wins, because it'll change the game in Florida. Federal judges are cracking down on police for waging war on motorists traveling from places where cannabis is legal. Federal judges ordered the Kansas Highway Patrol to cease employing its well-known two-step strategy. The KHP has waged war on motorists, especially out-of-state residents traveling from states where cannabis is legal. Fuck you, all you states that we have to drive through with our medicine in our car, and you're stopping us and throwing us in jail. Fuck you, that's wrong. It's wrong to get your cheap little $250 fine or throw us in jail. That's fucked up. Recreational marijuana in Ohio, they need 679 more signatures to qualify for the November 7th election. They need to get these in quick. They need 679 valid signatures during the period to qualify for the November ballot. Come on now, Ohio. Get that shit. Your medical program needs a little bit more work too, by the way. Oops. GOP senators admit cannabis legalization forces drug cartels to curtail their operations, because he's admitting that we need legalization federally here in the United States, basically. New York's cannabis program is a disaster, and regulators should prepare for war, says some lawyers. You're blowing it. There's not enough dispensaries. You have so many people there. One dispensary I just read is doing $12 million since the launch. Since they opened, 12 million buckaroonies.
That's nuts.
They need it. And, come on, New York, man. There's too many people with their hands to try to get shit done. That's the problem, Federal jobs will no longer be off limits for marijuana users in a new bipartisan push. Seed to grow, weed available for sale starting today, August 1st, when recreational marijuana is legal. You can buy seeds in Minnesota once they start opening up the dispensaries. But possibly, you could probably get them in med stores. So, but their seed program is really about truth in labeling and consumer protection so that the consumers knows what they are getting. I could tell you the state of Minnesota right now, if you want to buy good genetics, look at some of the people that I follow on Instagram and some of the people we've had on the Grow Hour. That's where you want to be getting your genetics from. Just a little tip.
I agree. Personal experience.
Yeah. So the state of Washington launches an online portal to reimburse people criminalized by unconstitutional marijuana drug convictions. Good for you, Washington. That's dope. College athletes. I never was an athlete in college, and I did play some ball, but my brother did and used cannabis all throughout college and played. I mean, he had to try out with the Marlins. He was a great baseball player. So he was stoned throughout college. Are they on to something?
Maybe.
Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
All right. The recent NCAA announcement about motions to stop testing for cannabis got me thinking about my former life as a college athlete. Before diving into weed journalism or embarking on my path in the Ashtanga yoga lineage, much of my energy went into playing soccer. By college, cannabis joined the party, and I became part of a team subgroup, the Stoners. Now, I think from time to time about how our body's cells are always changing. After 10 years, our makeup is completely new compared to the body a decade ago. With that in mind, I realized that after 14 years, my muscles, organs, and bones don't belong to the sport. But mentally, kicking an errant ball to some kids on the playground or watching some footy on TV brings me right back to the pitch. College athletes are pushed to extremes, balancing being on their own for the first time with a rigorous practice and game schedule on top of schoolwork at a heightened level. This all compounds with the fact that they're often sore from lifting, conditioning, and scrimmaging. At least I was. College culture has long dictated that alcohol is the answer to blowing off steam. Throughout the decades, college films like Animal House, Revenge of the Nerds, and Old School have glorified binge drinking. Cannabis, however, was often made into a joke about someone who lacks ambition. In my college experience, cannabis was a brilliant tool for overcoming the stress of a heavy schedule and new social settings. It was also at the center of where I made my most cherished friendships with the soccer team. Most of my teammates bonded at keggers or parties at the house where some men soccer players lived. These nights of excessive drinking, messy dance floors, and inevitable drama always left me with more anxiety than conviviality. Instead, in my most cherished moments, I was smoking cannabis with a small group of teammates on a random weeknight and watching TV together. I felt more safe and in my body while stoned. When binge drinking, I often felt disconnected and uncomfortably disoriented. But still, choosing to consume cannabis was dangerous. The NCAA and the university tested athletes for drugs, and weed was on the list. Additionally, you'd be punished if a coach saw you smoking or stoned. That could mean extra laps at practice or bench status for a game. And at worst, you could be cut from the team, losing any scholarship money you had. At the time, and to this day, it feels silly that the admin turned the other cheek to dangerous binge drinking, but sought out the potheads. As NCAA division governing bodies now consider whether to follow guidance and stop testing for cannabis, I'm flooded with memories of how the plant helped me navigate high-stakes athletics during my first years of college. Memories of how consuming weed was a vital thread in the tapestry of friendships I built that first year. If more college athletes felt safe responsibly utilizing the plant, I have no doubt it could improve their experience too.
Yeah,
Right on.
I know it improved my brothers. Colombia, international news. Colombia's marijuana farmers want out of the shadows. Will the government ever legalize their harvest? Come on, Colombia. You were so close. You can do it. You can do it. More than 200,000 farmers of drug corps live in criminality in Colombia because their harvest is illegal, according to COCCAM, a workers' union representing farmers involved in marijuana production. And it says cocaine. So come on now, Colombia. I want to go to that country one day and smoke some big fat doinks. Fill Berlin up with weed. Filling Berlin up with weed, Hemp Shoes brand's original campaign. Those who happened to be in Berlin in early July had a chance to see original campaign, thanks to which the city was full of hemp plants. More precisely, 500 industrial hemp plants were placed near churches, hospitals, train stations, and universities. That's awesome. Victorian government ponders closed trail to allow medical marijuana patients to drive. The government of Victoria, Australia is reportedly considering launching a closed trial to explore allowing medical marijuana users to drive while consuming the medicine. That's crazy. Snoop Dogg, his curated cannabis product lineup is to launch in Israel this summer. Cool, good for him. Outlaws, Morocco's RIF provides a refugee for cannabis farmers. Even as Morocco liberalizes some cannabis laws, the RIF continues to be the center of illicit production. Moroccan hash, baby. There's nothing better. On the steps of the Spanish mosque, tourists and locals are smoking keef, a mixture of cannabis and tobacco, while admiring the view of Moroccan famous Blue City in the northern region of the RIF. For centuries, the mountains of the Rif, which extended from the city of Tangier up to the eastern border of Algeria, have been the center of cannabis farming. Morocco is to this day the biggest producer of cannabis resin, hashish, in the world, according to the United Nations. Good for you, Morocco. Export this shit over here and let us import some of that beautiful Moroccan hash. So good for you. Keep on going out there and making that beautiful, beautiful, goopy, beautiful hash. Ontario's lowering its markup on pot as cannabis companies struggle to stay afloat. Yeah, because you're fucking just rigging the system for yourself. It's brutal there. I mean, beautiful cannabis plants, and no one can sell it because your taxes are too high, and everything you do out there is just ruining the industry, especially all that waste. Man, fix your shit. Retreats.
Yeah.
Women retreats and bonding. What is the woo-woo?
The woo. Yeah, it sounds like it might be woo. Right? I wondered too. I was like, what is this one about? What am I going to have to read about?
The woo-woo.
Yep. Women tap into woo-woo bonding at an upstate cannabis retreat. Mature females who enjoy cannabis or are canna-curious rejoice. There are still spots for a wholesome 3-night THC-infused retreat starting August 18th at 4:20 p.m.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. It's going to be in Coxsackie, Ohio. The event will be at an Airbnb large enough for 22 guests. It's the third cannabis retreat hosted by Mood RX Treats, the passion project of Holly Teagarden, who also owns Moodporium, a hemp dispensary in Pennsylvania. I've been in the industry for 4 years, and last year I decided to branch out, she said. Teagarden researched cannabis retreats and discovered that places like California, Washington State, and Oregon are saturated, while the East Coast was a barren wasteland ripe for weed gatherings. Teagarden lives in Pittsburgh but spent part of her childhood in Albany. While she
Albany.
I corrected myself. Relax. While she cannot host retreats in Pennsylvania yet, the Hudson Valley called her. It almost feels like I'm coming home in a way, she said. As Teagarden scoured Airbnb for a perfect location, she thought about what to have at the retreat. What do 50-something women want? She asked herself. And then she answered.
Inquiring minds want to know.
They want woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
Woo-woo. Woo-woo. Woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
We can all tap into our woo-woo.
Man, I want to tap into some woo-woo.
Well, woo-woo means tarot, Mr. Weedman.
Oh,
yoga.
boo.
Constant therapy.
I like all that.
Cold plunge, saunas, sound bath therapy, and meditation.
And a little woo-woo.
That is the woo-woo. The retreat is set to take place at a property with a huge backyard on the Hudson River. The house unexpectedly has an industrial karaoke machine with a stage, so there will be karaoke. Very random, Teagarden exclaimed. Mood RX Treats worked with a local partner, Hudson Cannabis, on a product to get people in the mood to sing their hearts out in front of a bunch of stoners. Oh, sorry, strangers. And as a result, there will be tablets on hand to make attendees giggle and lose inhibitions. If karaoke isn't your thing, or even if it is, there's also journaling and pilgrim soul coloring. Everyone loves to sit, get high, and color. People spend hours doing very intricate color patterns, Teagarden said. There are coloring prompts and a sativa pairing to help with focus and creativity.
Sounds like right up your alley, Mrs. Weedman.
I know. I already looked it up on the map. Like, how can I get there? Okay. Teagarden leads daily discussions on topics like various strains and types of cannabis for all desires. Guests leave the weekend knowing which strains are best for their creativity or sleep. There's also education about terpenes and other herbs such as lavender and rosemary and how they can impact mood. It's also woven into meals by a knowledgeable chef. Beyond food, guests will have access to a plethora of ways to consume cannabis.
Is
my
it
words are not working.
Plethora?
I don't know because my words aren't working. What is it? Is it a plethora? It's a plethora.
I think it's plethora.
Did I say plethora?
You said plethora.
Woo woo.
The woo woo got you woo woo.
Yeah. They'll have disposable vape pens, edibles, terpene shots, tablets, balms, pipes, lighters, and infused drinks. The only thing that won't be in Coxsackie is booze. When you start mixing alcohol and cannabis, there is a lot of sloppiness, Teagarden noted.
Keep on going.
Yeah.
I mean,
Teagarden
this
said,
is good.
Yeah, attendees have been wide-ranging. Some attendees are in the green closet and live in states where cannabis is not yet legal, or they have other reasons for needing to conceal that they partake. But at the Mood RX Retreat, or RX Treat, there's no reason for worry, Teagarden said. When you go to some events, you always feel uncomfortable. That doesn't happen with this. Everyone is bonding right out of the gate, and that has a lot to do with knowing no one is being judged.
Cannabis brings people together.
It does.
You know, and I want to go. Can you and I go?
You got to grow your flow, and then we'll put some braids in there, and we'll make it work.
You and I go, and we can share a room.
Yes.
And get some woo-woo.
Gosh.
Mrs. Weedman, Grandma Weed, that's the end of the show.
Is that it?
That's it. We're going to say, I always ask Mrs. Weedman if she's got anything else to say, but we'll ask Grandma Weed first. You got anything else to say, Grandma, before we say goodbye?
Good night, all.
There you go. There you go. See, that was nice and simple. Grandma Weed, it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
It was really nice to be here.
Yeah. Is this your first podcast?
That I've been on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
So
I've listened.
Yeah, I know you listen. You listen
I only get to the point where it's like I stop at a certain point.
You are into... Okay, so I'm going to tell a little story first, and then I'm going to let Miss Weedman say goodbye, and then we'll end the show. So, Grandma Weed, at one point, had the Hallmark channel on, like 24/7. Like, you come to her house, you come to our house, you go Hallmark, especially during the holidays. I think she's seen all the holiday Christmas in July and Christmas in December shows probably 7 to 10 times. She can name lines now. That's how many times she's seen these shows, okay? Hallmark channel. Grandma Weed has flipped and changed on me. I haven't seen Grandma Weed in over a year. Comes up, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got to find Hallmark. I don't watch Hallmark Station anymore, Mr. Weed Man. I'm like, well, what do you watch? Well, I watch all these documentaries on murder mysteries and, like, what's some of the shows you watch?
Dateline, investigation
shows.
2020.
So this is great. So all of a sudden I'm like, what stations are those on? I don't even know. And the greatest thing about this is, though, because Mrs. Weedman was okay with the Hallmark station. Grandma Weed and Mrs. Weedman sit in the kitchen at the table watching TV and drinking coffee and talking the whole time while Mr. Weedman's working or doing something. And they sit. And I know Mrs. Weedman was okay with the Hallmark station, but now Grandma Weed has bought the fucking power, and the two of them are drilled.
Well, I'm supposed to be working, and
you're into
looking
the
over
same
my
thing.
computer screen watching. I catch myself watching TV.
I know,
like, oh
and then
shoot!
she'll say something to me like, "Oh, what what just happened?
Because you're into that kind of stuff too.
I love those shows.
Right.
know.
So Grandma
Yeah.
Weed and Mrs. Weedman. Now, the only thing that would make it even better if we got Grandma Weed and you to smoke a joint together while
And then
watching
watch
this.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
Jeez.
oh. Or actually, we'd probably just eat an edible together.
There you go.
So and why? I mean, because I come up from the studio and come up and look at you two, and you're sitting with your, like you said, your head over the computer, and Grandma Weed is drilled in having coffee, and I'm like, look at these fucking two.
5 hours later, I still have one email drafted. Shit.
Oh my
So,
goodness!
Grandma
I'm a
Weed-
bad influence.
So now, but you brought a new thing because Mrs. Weedman, while she works, usually has the TV on for sound. Now I know what the fuck's gonna be on instead
No,
of.
no.
Oh, I know. Oh, yes. Because you're not gonna be sitting there watching some of the stupid shit you're watching anymore, going, "Oh, this is on during the day."
I just have TV on for background noise all
right.
the time.
But now you're gonna be turning on some of
Yeah,
this stuff that Grandma Weeds introduced you to, and you're all
distracting.
in.
I still watch Hallmark, but like I gotta wait till Christmas now. to
Right.
watch it, so.
2 months of the year, July and December is when you
Yes.
watch it now. And the rest of the
This
time,
is
it's
like
all.
now I've been watching, since COVID and everything. I watch this all the time.
Well, Grandma Weed, we love that you came to visit us, and happy retirement.
Thank you.
Woohoo.
Appreciate that.
55 years in the workforce.
Yes.
Right?
I'm
Glad to be
done.
done.
I'm done.
Done. She is a
Yay.
dog walker, though. If you're in Florida and
South Florida.
South Florida, she lives in the West
East
Palm
Coast.
Beach area, East Coast of Florida, West Palm Beach area. And if you need a dog walker, check out Grandma Weed. What's the name of your company?
Grandma Weed.
Grandma
no,
Weed.
I should name it Grandma
You
Weed. No,
should.
it's just my name.
Oh, okay. So, but she does a great job dog sitting.
Reach out to
Yes.
us if
Yeah.
you live in that area
Yeah,
and you need,
a dog
sitter.
sitter. She goes to the house
We'll
and
connect
watches the
you.
dog for
I
like
watch
3 or
the
4
house,
days.
I
Yeah,
watch-
she's good. She's fucking got a good clientele.
She's like the dog whisperer.
yeah.
Yeah.
The dogs always just know she's good.
Oh yeah, they come up to me. Look at what with Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paulie's
Aggressive
dog.
dogs are just like,
They
Scratch the
yes,
head.
I like you. You're good. Yes.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, Mr. and Mrs. Weedman.
Now
I
she's
love
gonna-
you both very much.
Now when I post this on social media, Grandma Weed's gonna be like, I was on this show. Be telling everybody on every Grandma Weed's on
That's
on,
good.
on every social media platform. So Grandma Weed's cool, and she's gonna have once we post this, I'm gonna tag her, and she's gonna be famous because 142 countries around the world, somebody's listening.
geez.
6,300 cities, somebody's listening. 6,400 cities now. Somebody's
crazy.
listening, so they're gonna hear your story, Grandma Weed.
I know.
Thank you for coming out. We love you,
Love you guys.
Love ya.
Mrs. Weedman. You got anything
Mr.
else to say?
Weedman. I think we're ready to sign off here for the evening. Everybody have a great week. If you end up at Brunch of Stoners this Sunday, come and get us. Come see
Yeah,
us.
come see us.
roll a joint with us.
Yeah, come teach Mr.
Maybe
Weedman.
you could teach us.
Yes, please. And you can roll some Mr. Weedman's weed. I'm going to bring a nice little selection
There you go.
of home grow so you can try some stuff. I'll have my little soiree in the 8 Decades jars. It'll be kind of dope. So we hope to see you all at Brunch of Stoners. Felix, thanks for having us there.
Elena too.
Yep, Elena too. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to this Sunday. Everybody out there in the world, we love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just showing us love. Thank you for just all the DMs and all the emails and everything. We appreciate the support with 8 Decades. We have a couple new businesses going to be buying from us, which is great. Go check out Starbuds. Go check out Fumar. Go check out Smoke City and Evergreen Park. They're supporting our business, so we love you out there, everybody. Peace be with you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome, long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable. 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 Acceptable.